You get a writer.
Writers are the best because you guys know what's going on. Everybody else is like, I have no idea.
Just walk us through the end of the season.
Oh, I wish I could. It's awesome, you know. You can tell the cast have been working really hard, but they really have loved doing these last few episodes.
So you gotta be able to give us something. Give us a little tease.
I don't like spoilers, I tell you that. I can tease you, but I can't give you spoilers. I can tell you that it does become more epic in terms, it gets both bigger and it gets smaller. It gets bigger in terms of scope and action and battles and things like that, but it gets more intense and smaller in terms of what the family interactions are. And by family, I mean not just the Mathesons. Miles and Monroe are a kind of family. There's a lot of intensity between them coming up. There is another face-to-face encounter with the two of them. And it doesn't go the way anyone will expect it will. And the Neville family is going to find that they're really challenged, and their relationships are going to start changing.
The momentum of the last several episodes, it just keeps kind of raising the bar. Each episode gets a little more intense. Does that go all the way through to the finale, or is there like a little bit of a rest and breather?
There is no breather. It gets, each one notches up. I'm so glad you mentioned that too, because we really tried to make that happen. And it's very hard to do. This is a very hard show to write. I think we've done it. Time will tell. I know I look forward to every episode more than the last once we start to talk about the story. Because there's no limit to stories we can tell in this world. We just get in the room every day and say, what if? What if, what if, what if? It's a great what if show.
We spent like 10 episodes trying to rescue Danny.
Yeah.
And then we kill him off immediately. Before, I think that the audience has such an attachment to him. I think his family does.
Yeah.
So how do you see, what was the purpose of killing him off before we really got to know?
The purpose was we wanted to raise the stakes in the second half of the season. And we wanted the fight against Monroe to become much more personal than it already was for all our hero, what we call our heroes, which is Miles and Miles and Charlie, and the people around them. We talked about a lot of different ways to do that. The one that seemed to have the biggest bang for the buck in that moment was to kill Danny and remind the audience this is a very, very unsafe world. This is a world where you can die if you step on a nail, and yet there are militias out there, and there are rebels, and there's a guy who's got helicopters and machine guns, and no one is safe. No one is really safe. It was shocking.
I was going to say, is there a character that you kind of see yourself identifying with the most as you're writing?
Oh, isn't that interesting? It's interesting. There's a character we have coming in Monday's episode who is a librarian. And I love the idea that in this world, there are books that haven't been burned for fuel yet. Someone put them together, and since I'm the son and the grandson of librarians, I like seeing a librarian in this world, and that's a character we're going to spend a little time with.
Is that a bit of a nod to the Twilight Zone episode?
It certainly is a nod to the Twilight Zone. The character even has the same name, Henry Bemis.
But his glasses are not broken.
His glasses are not broken.
Okay.
He's too badass for that.
Can you tell us anything about the capsule that was in Danny's body?
I can't tell you anything. That's the one thing I'm under strict orders not to talk about. I wish I could.
As questions get answered by the finale from the season, how many more emerge to take the place of the ones we have solved?
We ask more questions than we answer. So we'll answer a lot of the big questions, and all of those answers will lead to more questions.
How much of that did you know from the get-go, like by the end of the season we want to resolve this and set that up, and how much emerged on the journey?
I can tell you we didn't know any of it. I don't even think Eric Kripke knew. Now, he's one of the great poker players of plot. He does not show all of his cards, what he's thinking of, until he hears what everybody else is thinking, because if there's a better idea, he's going to run with it. But we didn't come in, we came in with some big ideas about, hey, we could try this or try that, but it was not mapped out.
What about the trip to California? Is that going to happen this season, or are you saving part of that for next season?
I think we're saving a real exploration of California for the future, but we reference California in a couple of these episodes at the moment. Yeah. We did. If anyone was at the Paley Fest, we talked about that a little there.
Right. I was at the Paley Fest, and I'm actually interested in the concept of giving power to Georgia. Like, that looks like the next step of where you guys are going. Can you talk about that? Well, could you talk about it a little bit?
Yeah. Georgia is not like the Monroe Republic. Georgia has, as I mentioned earlier, Georgia has better climate, better clothes. They've got a little more commerce, more agriculture. They're thriving in a way in this world. And Georgia, as far as power, I can't give spoilers. I have to tell you that. I hate working a serialized show because I'm dying to. There's such cool ideas. No, I really can't tell you about power at Georgia except that we're going to see a lot of Georgia and how it functions. Georgia has interesting kinds of power. You're going to see that Georgia's harnessed steam power in a way. And the great thing about Revolution is we don't do a whole story about that. It's sort of there in something that goes by and you think, did I just see that? And you did, but that's not what the story's about.
Have you or any of the other writers tried living without technology for any time? Just to see what that
Oh, you know, only when there's a power outage. And we know it's coming back on. So I do know this. We've talked about what we would do in that circumstance, and they all want to come to my house because I have a nice big wine cellar and lots of candles. So
You're the place to be.
yeah, I told them all, come to my house.
Have any of the actors changed, like their performances changed what you might have intended to do with the characters? Like you said, oh, I see this in them.
Yeah. Their take on material always inspires us. Oh, they can do that. Let's write more of that. Or if they can do that, maybe they can do this. Yeah, the actors. This is a pretty inspiring cast. And you can tell they love working with one another. It's really genuine. I think one of the big surprises, and he's an excellent actor, we shouldn't have thought it was such a surprise, is David Lyons. Kripke did not have long-term plans for the character of Monroe. And then he saw the performances David was bringing. He thought, oh, Monroe is going to play a huge role. He's not going to get killed off right away in this season. We're going to take Monroe to the limit.